What's that coming over the hill? It's Michael Chopra. It's Michael Chopra. What's that coming over the hill? It's Michael Chopra.
Thank you.
Welcome. Chopra.
There we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rummer Tavern. If you don't know by now, I'm Si from Ace Podcast Nation, and this is City Legends number 3. And I'm delighted, thrilled, very excited to be joined by former Cardiff City striker and indeed Cardiff City legend, Mr. Michael Chopra.
You said I fancy that. He didn't sign for Swansea or Wrexham because they shanks. He's trying for Cardiff City because they fucking dynamite. Oh, Michael Chopra's magic.
Stolen Peter Thorne's song.
You didn't get that.
Stolen Peter Thorne's song. Just blatantly stolen it. What a night. It did work. It worked very nicely. I like it. Right, part two. Well, I'm going to just put my feet up and sit and watch as you lot ask the questions. You guys ask the question and Chops will share some stories and answer them. And, same thing, but you ask the questions. The question is, who wants to go first?
Which stories were steamed by water?
Yeah. Nah, do you know what? I played against him, obviously, when he was at Derby. When I scored 4. But now, look, I had to get that one in there. Yeah. Nah, do you know what? He's a good goalkeeper. But keepers are mad, aren't they? He was mad by water. But look, at the end of the day, he didn't do great for us. But
I like how you were trying to word it. So
that's how things go at times. Do you know what I mean? You come to some clubs and it doesn't work out. But I've played against him loads of times, mate, and he's a good goalkeeper.
I've seen him play well as well. Yeah. I think he just had.
He was great at West Ham when he was at West Ham. Yeah, he was really good. Really good at West Ham.
You said he's crazy. Who is the craziest player you've had the pleasure of playing with?
Andy Griffin or Jonathan Woodgate?
Jonathan Woodgate surprises me.
Yeah,
he seems quite quiet and.
Yeah, the quiet one's always the worst.
Okay. What about from a Cardiff point of view?
Cardiff one, crazy.
Different reasons, I suppose, for different aspects of it.
Kev could be up there.
Yeah. Shocking surprise, that isn't it?
Yeah, Kev could be up there. To be fair. But it's just a sense of humour, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why they're good lads, do you know what I mean? You take a little bit out of them and totally different people, do you know what I mean? It's like me. People stop me doing what I want to do and people used to call me Peter Pan. That never grows up. I'm 40 next week and I still want to have a laugh. Exactly the same.
Yes, he is.
When you played for Sunderland, did Roy Keane train with you as a player?
Yeah, he used to join in the boxes.
Okay.
Yeah, but you could tell why he was such a good player. Everything was like the highest standard.
And if you became a manager, would people be saying that about you?
Probably not. But no, Roy, do you know what was good about Roy is how you see him now on the TV is how he was as a manager. If you shit, you shit. He'd tell you straight in your face.
I get that.
If not good enough. And that's how it should be. I've been with managers that told don't kid someone on, do you know what I mean? Don't get the hopes up and that sort of thing. Roy used to park his car somewhere else, not in the manager's spot. So we wouldn't think he's at training. Right? You know when a manager's like that, you fuck about a bit, you piss about. You don't train 100%. And Roy used to always pick his teams from training. If you don't train well, you don't play. It doesn't matter who you are. How much money you spent, it doesn't matter.
Is that a genuine fear factor then with Roy Keane?
I don't know if it was fear factor. It was just a case of keeping you on your toes. That if you don't perform in training, you train how you play is how it should be.
Is he as intense as he seems? He seems very intense, like to speak to and like.
Nah, I don't know. Look, I don't know. But like I said, when his car in a different space, or if he wasn't at training, he'd get training filmed to make sure the lads are properly preparing for games and stuff like that. I remember we played. I don't know who we played, but we used to stay in a hotel on a Friday night in Durham. Every home game, we used to stay in a hotel. Now, a girl's come out of one of the lads' rooms. So what he's done is followed the girl to the car. He's got the registration plate. He's checked up on the car, then probably passed it on to the police or something, and checked up on the person who the person is, got the name and everything. So we're sitting in the dressing room the next day, and he's gone to Kieran on Nugsy, Naira Noseworthy. Who's such and such? Don't know, Gaffer. You sure you don't know such and such? Nah. No girls come out your room last night, no? Nah. Said, okay, if I find out the girl come out your room last night, you'll never play for this club again. So he's proper switched on, do you know what I mean? If you don't prepare properly. And that's why he was such a great captain for Man United, because his standards were so high. And I think when I got there, his standards were ridiculous. Like, he thought Sunderland players were like Man United players. That was the problem in our first season at Sunderland, even though we stayed in the Premier League. But look, it was great to be managed by somebody that had the standards so high and understand how he learned the game and everything. And like I've always said to people, before you even went on Sky, what's he like? Straight. You see it now. Do you know what I mean? He's probably one of the best pundits on TV at the minute, because how he speaks about the game and how he tells players and everything.
Do you think he goes back into management at some point? He seems like he wants to.
I think he wants to, yeah, but I think it'll be hard for him. All these pundits
Players are different, aren't they?
who go on TV and stuff like that, you criticise a player.
You take it very
Could you manage a player that you've just been criticising all last season?
Yeah.
So whether he goes into a national team job, I don't know. Whether club job, I don't think he'll go back into.
Not many ex-Alex Ferguson players have become good managers, have they?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think who.
It depends what your class is good, though, doesn't it? I mean, like, you've got like
Brian
stalwarts, like say Steve Bruce, for instance. All right, he hasn't gone on and been like a Champions League manager, but he's had a good career as a
Carrick does okay at Middlesbrough.
Yeah, I think he's one of the contenders for the United job at the moment.
Brian Robson.
Yeah,
done okay, but like you said, there's
Mark Hughes
done all right for a
job
years.
at the minute. But he done well at City, yeah.
No, he did well.
He did very well for Wales.
And Blackburn.
Yeah.
I would like to know, anyone who played under Fergie, how much of, when they were a player, how much of the management took with them?
Yeah, like how much of it rubbed off on them.
Yeah. I think Roy learned a lot from Fergie, do you know what I mean? You cannot not, but I think he learned a lot from Brian Clough as well. When he was at Forest, he always speaks highly of Brian Clough. He probably speaks highly of Brian Clough than what he does about Fergie, even though.
Do you think it's a shame they fell out and they don't really get on now? Because I think they won so much together that it almost seems like a shame that they don't speak.
It is a shame, but I was listening to him last week, I think it was, or the week before. Why should a player be friends with a manager?
No,
because in a couple of years he's gonna shit on you. He's gonna get rid of you.
Of course he is.
So why get close to him? And they were having this conversation about United players. Do they need to be close to Van Gaal and this sort of thing? And Roy, in a way, Roy's right. Is when you think about it, why should you be close to him?
Yeah.
Is he going to be close to you when he leaves out the team? No.
Once you're too old or you lose your fitness or whatever,
he doesn't care.
Yeah,
move you on and get someone else.
Absolutely. Who's next?
If you're a manager now, right, how do you manage Michael Chopra?
Look, I think like a bit like what they've done with me. You've got to let me enjoy myself. Do you know what I mean? Because every year at the start of the season, I'll always be flying because I'd have a good pre-season. If you look at every season I had for Cardiff, at the start of the season, I was absolutely flying. It's normally November, December that I kind of have a real dip in form.
Is that because there's less time to socialise and do your own thing in between the games?
I don't
or
know.
Enjoy yourself, I just mean in terms
of it could be the enjoyment and that sort of thing. Because pre-season I used to go back to Newcastle, but I'd work hard because I want to be flying. I want to be ahead of everyone at the start of the season. I want to be better than everyone coming into the season, as fit as I can and everything. And I think that's why I score so many goals at the start of the season. Do you know what I mean? Like I said before, look at my career at Cardiff at the start of the season. I think it was just putting the effort in. But going back to your question, I would just, if I don't perform like Dave used to do, Dave used to hammer me, absolutely hammer me. People don't know this. Players don't know this. He used to take me in the office and absolutely rip into me. But that's because my standards were so high and he had set them so high. And if I wasn't fulfilling that, then he'd give me a good kick up the arse. Do you know what I mean? Because he knew if I was scoring goals, then pretty much Cardiff were winning games.
It's not. I think it's having the structure of knowing like where you stand with a manager, but it's like both ends of the spectrum as well. So if you didn't do well and he rips into you, but then when you do well, he says, go to Newcastle, come back on Tuesday. There's like that motivation factor in there in both aspects of your performance.
Yeah, like I said, if I'm asking the question to go back to Newcastle, then I've got to perform. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But what I don't like is players go knocking on his door. Why am I not playing? Why am I not playing? And he gives them a chance, and they do fuck all. Yeah, that's why you're not playing, because you're not good enough. Chance. Yeah.
So, say you had said, can I go to Newcastle till Tuesday? And he's, like you said, chuckled and gone, yeah, okay, you've got to do it though, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then in that game, things haven't gone your way. You've had a bad game. Would you still have asked him to go to Newcastle?
No.
You wouldn't have even broached the subject. Just pretend it never happened.
I wouldn't ask the question. I'd know that I've got to stay in Cardiff.
Yeah.
It's easy if you're winning games. Do you know what I mean? You know what's needed and stuff like that. But if you know you're not winning games, then why should you have time off to go and enjoy yourself? Do you know what I mean? You don't deserve it, so don't ask the question.
Is he your favourite manager throughout your career?
I think football-wise, probably yeah. Obviously, I was grateful of Sir Bobby for giving my debut at Newcastle, making me fulfil my dreams. Obviously, Roy Keane for the help he gave me while I had the addiction. But if you're talking about football terms and on field, then Dave's probably the best one.
Okay. Next, go.
Yeah. If you could give a young Michael Chopra a tip, what would you give him?
Don't gamble.
What would you say? Like, if you knew what you knew now about football, fitness, what was the biggest tip?
Look, people might think I'm big-headed, but I could have achieved so much more. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
My reputation when I was a kid was phenomenal. I was supposed to be the next Alan Shearer, the next Michael Owen sort of thing when I was playing for England and that sort of thing. But I know myself that the gambling stopped me. It stopped me being that player I was. So if there was a tip, I would try and do a little bit differently with the gambling stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because it did affect me mentally. It couldn't not. Do you know what I mean? Because going to bed and waking up at 4:00 in the morning,
it's not good preparation.
How do you perform as much as I did? But I could have performed even better. Do you know what I mean? And some of you seen a great Michael Chopra, but there could have been an even better one. Do you know what I mean? But
the gym and
I didn't used to go to the gym. I used to sack it off. Do you know what I mean? I used to hate the gym. we used to do gym sessions, and I just used to cheat. Do you know what I mean? I used to pretend that I was doing it, and I would just stand there doing nothing. My diet was horrendous.
Yeah.
We played Watford away one game, and I turned up with like one of them Russell's burgers like you put in the microwave. Do you know what I mean? I'm walking on the bus with these, putting it in the microwave, and the lads are thinking, "What the fuck's going on here?" After the game, I think we beat Watford. I think it was when we beat them 4-0 or 4-1. Adam Matthews scored a chip the keeper with a free kick. I think Jay scored 2 that game. Cracked open a Budweiser on the bus, just having a bud. I'm the only one. Do you know what I mean? And lads must be thinking, "What the fuck? What's he going? What's he doing?" But it's just, I never used to prepare properly for games. Never.
But does that make everything which you did on the pitch completely natural ability, doesn't it? If you didn't have the preparation, like physically or mentally, in terms of gym and diet and things like this, that means that what you did on the pitch was just pure natural ability, really, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Obviously, there's a bit of tactics and team training.
I always believed in my ability. I always thought going on the pitch that I'm going to score today. I just had that self-belief and the ability that I could do it. Even look, people say, "Oh, you've put on weight and all that. You don't want to do." I don't have any motivation now to go to the gym. It's just the way I was as a player, and so I just don't go to the gym and stuff like that.
Favorite strike partner?
Alan Shearer has to be, yeah.
Yeah,
obviously, yeah. Growing up being a Geordie and that sort of thing, it's playing in the same team and being the captain of England at the time, captain of Newcastle, and managing to share the dressing room. And I remember having shooting competitions with him for like £20 and beating them and stuff like that. And do you know what I mean? It was just a dream come true to be there alongside him.
It sounds like there's a real different side to Alan Shearer to the public, like the one we see on Match of the Day and the one we see, in the media and stuff. It does sound. I've heard from a couple of people, and from what you've said this evening, it definitely seems like he's a very different character.
I think
if you know him.
Well, yeah, definitely. On TV, you've got to be professional. Do you know what I mean? But when you're in the dressing room, when you're in the circle with him, he's a funny guy. Do you know what I mean? People just think he's on TV, he's boring and stuff like that.
Very serious, doesn't he?
He's far from that. He's a good character. Good character.
So
go, man.
You said.
Oh, come on, you better go. Stop being greedy. Go on, you go, mate.
I was just saying, you talked about the triggers earlier for the addiction and having the betting logo on your shirt every day. Do you think that there could be more done for when you're growing up, getting these triggers as fans and as players? Do you think that the governing bodies should be doing more? I know there's a ban coming up on shirt sponsors, but do you think they should do more? And have they asked players like you who've struggled with addiction what they could do?
I think they should do more. The governing body, will they do? No, because there's too much money. The betting companies are giving the Premier League and these clubs far too much money, and until big other sponsorships come along and take over, then it'll continue. You look at the advertising. I think there was a ban a couple of years ago that they were going to try and stop advertising at half time and stuff like that. And I was watching one game, and then straight away after half time, when it goes to the adverts, was a Bet365 advert.
Yeah, Ray Winston or something.
What you've got to think about is you've got a son who's 6, 7, 8 year old watching that game of football. Now, when it's half time, he's watching a betting advert. So straight away, what kids in another generation are going to think about this as well? Do you know what I mean? And people don't see this because at the end of the day for the Premier League, it's all about the money. So until the governing body do something, it'll never ever change.
Do you think that something which sort of caught my ear then with that question is that they should speak to players like yourself who've had issues with gambling or drinking or whatever the addiction may be or the issue may be? It would make sense for the PFA, for the FA, for the Premier League, for the Football League to speak to people like yourself to find out how they can better look after players and in turn spot things like sponsorships towards fans. But
I believe it. I don't see any I don't think there's ever been any football club that's been sponsored by a cigarette company. Don't think there's ever been one. There's been drinking companies, Carlsberg and Labette, Nottingham Forest, but I don't think there's ever been a cigarette one.
It's very true.
Why is that? Because the governing body, the government, cut down on cigarettes. They're trying to put a ban in place on cigarettes. I don't think they're bothered enough about gambling. There's never been any cigarette ones.
The Italian National Football Federation was during Euro the UEFA Championships 2020 was sponsored by a cigarette company. That's about as much as I could find. But that's Italian. Like, I mean, up until a couple of years ago, they still had managers smoking on the sideline in Italy. But I mean, I've just had a quick. I haven't looked in detail, but quick Google.
It was on Snooker then.
Yeah, there's no.
Snooker was a cigarette. So.
Yeah, there's no football team doesn't look like has ever been sponsored by a cigarette company, which is really interesting, isn't it? Because when you look at it, cigarettes, alcohol, gambling, they all do damage to people in different ways, and they're all socially acceptable in different ways. But for some reason, cigarettes, obviously, they're not good for you and stuff like that. But alcohol does as much damage. Gambling can do as much damage. And another thing which caught my ear was when you said about like a 6 or 7-year-old watching those gambling adverts. I'd go as far as well as if you've got, say, a 15-year-old who is watching a film which has got Ray Winston in, and then he's watching the football, and then he sees Ray Winston telling him, bet 365, go and do this, go and do that. Now, I'm not criticising Ray Winston, but I would say that 15-year-old is going to have an effect. He's more likely to gamble in the future. And I think ultimately, in the long term, that causes a lot more issues and can be, like you say, trigger points and things like that.
I think it could be something that's so simple as it could be, let's say, like there's a 3-1.
1984 to 1986, West Brom actually had a no smoking.
No smoking sign.
Sponsor as that for the football shirt.
That's
1984 to 86.
I would love to get my hands on that shirt, I got to say. I wonder
What was
if
that,
there's any of them.
1984?
1984 to 1986, they had no smoking as their sponsor.
Got to get one of them in your shop, Dan.
Yeah.
It's just got to on you.
I can't afford it. It's got money on fags.
Does anyone remember that sponsor we had for like one game? I think 777.
Yeah, it was a Chinese company.
It was.
Yeah.
Were you there then?
We
Charles?
played against Newcastle with it.
Ah, right.
It was on TV, the game.
I had a Matthews shirt from that game.
Yeah.
What happened with that sponsor?
I think the EFL stopped it.
They were deemed to be an illegal betting
Yeah.
company. They weren't.
They didn't have
regulated in
a-
the market, therefore they couldn't sponsor or advertise here. So then SBO Bet took over for the rest of the season.
Did Cardiff City ever print any of them shirts?
Not for retail sales. They were.
Zabia Ray shirts.
They were
I was going to say that'd be like gold dust, wouldn't it? That shirt.
I did have Adam Matthews, but I swapped it for something for that game, and they had about 3 or 4 leftovers. I've still got one of those.
Oh, wow, nice. I like that. Well, Jace, what were you going to ask, Red?
Oh yeah, obviously being a Jordan in Newcastle fan and then going to Sunderland, what was it like still on the pitch being a Sunderland supporter? Not in yourself?
No, it was. Do you know what? It was tough. It was really tough. Even before I signed, thinking about if I'm going to make this decision, I remember getting the phone call in Portugal, and it was Roy Keane rang my mobile. Was on a whiff. I thought someone was taking the piss when he said it was Roy Keane. He was like, "I want to sign you and think you're a great player. You played against us last year, but I know you're a Newcastle fan, and I know there's going to be a lot of pressure on you. So speak to your family, speak to your friends about it." My family were all for it to do it, yeah, because they wanted me to be back in the Premier League, especially the season I had at Cardiff. I proved that I was good enough to be in the Championship. Am I good enough to be in the Premier League, sort of thing? Is the next step. Spoke to my friends who were like, "Nah, don't do it."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Newcastle fans who nah, don't do it. Typical. But yeah, look,
How long do you think you sort of thought about that?
it took me about a week. It took me about a week to think about it. Because look, it was gonna be a tough decision, because if I didn't do well, I would have got annihilated. Yeah, Sunderland fans would have been, Geordie's coming, he doesn't care, he doesn't do this, doesn't do that. But the first game of the season against Tottenham, it couldn't have got off to a great start. You know what I mean? We won the game 1-0. I scored the winner, and everything was history. Then I think we played Birmingham the second game on Tuesday or Wednesday night. We drew 2-2 at St Andrews, and I scored. So straight away the took to. I got off to a great start. Then we.
How did you find it playing against Newcastle?
No, that was really tough. I remember being at St James's, and I was on the bench at the time, and I had to warm up, and I was getting loads of stuff chucked at me and everything, and it was only 2 years ago that I was scoring for Newcastle against Sunderland, and it was my first Premier League goal and that sort of thing, and to have your own fans and your mates abusing you on the terraces, do you know what I mean? It was tough, but at the end of the day, it's a job. I'm just human, do you know what I mean? It's the end of that's how people take football too far, do you know what I mean? I know there's rivalry and it can be past that and stuff like that. And you see me on Twitter when Cardiff beat Swansea, I'll have a joke with the fans.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a laugh and a joke. There's no harm against it. I'm not going to do anything to them and stuff like that. It's just banter. But when I was warming up, it was hurtful at times. You know what I mean?
You made that for anyway, missing on purpose.
Well, let's just say I signed for Cardiff the next day.
Well, then, with regards to Cardiff, obviously you scored that famous winner, which is in the print, but against Swansea. Like, what a moment that is!
It's Michael Chopra to win it.
I watch it back like quite regularly. But talk to us about that moment and the game and just the general feeling with that, because it was like what
92, I think. Yeah. Look, people forget about the first goal as well, because the first one I scored was important as well. I think it was just before half time, and then to go in drawn 1-1 totally changes the dynamics of the game, changes how the manager thinks, and it gives the players a big boost going into the second half. But I always felt that we had good enough players that if I got another chance, then I'd be able to score. And I think the winner was just instinct. I think you look at where I start when the throw-in comes in. Some strikers might have been waiting for the flick on inside the box, but I don't know. I was just out to the side a bit, and Aaron Wildig's gone up and won a header for a player so small to jump that high and win the header. And then look, I've done the easiest thing ever, is just to put the ball in the back of the net. You know what I mean? And the joy and relief and everything, and you can see this a lot to do. Do you know what I mean? It was just so emotional, because I know, look, the game's finished. We've won 2-1 and we've killed their hopes of getting into the playoffs.
Oh, class.
You weren't the only one who's emotional.
Oh, I know. What about you say celebrations? You didn't know what to do. When you look back at your career, you see some videos of the goals you scored. Are you ever embarrassed by any of your celebrations?
Probably that one.
Is it?
Well, that
just
one,
because of
that
the moment.
That one, and the one I scored for Newcastle at Sunderland.
Just because it was a motion to go over.
I think so, yeah. And I think looking back now, I should have just jumped in with the fans.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It just getting there.
Got a yellow card and just celebrated with them. Yeah, but look, but I don't know. I look back now and I'm just thinking, what was I doing? I tried to do like a roly-poly, do you know what I mean? And that sort of thing. But it's just, you don't know what to do, do you know what I mean? You're just so ecstatic, and the relief, and we've scored a winner and that sort of thing, and the smile on the fans' faces and everything.
With that in mind, do you think VAR is spoiling those emotional moments from football?
I think so, yeah.
Because people don't want to
celebrate, because the touch and go, whether they're offside, they're onside, and then when it does get given, the celebration's gone, all the emotion's gone out of your body. Do you know what I mean? These goals that you score is all adrenaline. It happens. Do you know what I mean? In that moment in time, and if you're waiting 2-3 minutes, some of the longer, then you just put your hand up and saluting,
it just kills it, doesn't it?
and stuff like that.
I'm not a fan of VAR at all. I'm ready for it to just go. I think it's causing
it's good in some circumstances, but I don't think it's consistent.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, and it's consistency. Next, anyone? Oof, we're out of questions already. That's why I got plenty. I got loads.
I'll do it.
Go on, Dan.
With the recent bans, that was an excellent question, really. But just sort of tagging on to that, with the bans for Ivan Toney and Sandro Tonali, playing for teams that are sponsored by betting accounts, and yet they're having a little bit of a bet, not necessarily on their own teams or against their own teams, but their bans are significantly more serious than players who've gone out and tried to end someone's career or made a racist remark on the pitch. Like, do you think football? Do you think it's got its priorities right when it comes to all of those issues?
I don't think they should have got the bans for that amount of time. I think you ban someone for, let's look up, if I got banned for 10 months, that would mentally affect me because football's my life. And I'll give you an example. When I was at Ipswich, we had a team night out, team bonding, and it was supposed to be in London on a Tuesday night, so we had Wednesday off. And I said, all the lads were like, let's meet at London Mayfair Hotel, 6 o'clock. So I said to the lads, look, if there's no more than 10 players there at 6 o'clock, let's just jump on a train and go to Newcastle. From King's Cross, we'd be in Newcastle at 9 o'clock. So we got to like 5 to 6, and I said, Jimmy, there's 8 players here, mate. I said, are you ready? He was like, wait until 6 o'clock, Chops, wait. So I said, Jimmy, right now it's 6 o'clock. No one else has come. I said, I knew. So let's jump in a cab, we go to Newcastle and get on the train. So we went to Newcastle and on the train from London. We were drinking on the train, absolutely steaming when we got to Newcastle. Drinking all day Wednesday in Newcastle. We had training on Thursday back in Ipswich, so it's like a 6-hour drive. Got to about 2 o'clock in the morning. We hired a taxi to drive us back to Ipswich. So me and Jimmy have took some sleepers in the taxi to get back to Ipswich. We got back to Ipswich at about 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, Jimmy, come back to my place, we'll get changed. And obviously these sleeping tablets don't wear off straight away, do you know what I mean? You're still fucking groggy. So we got back to mine, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. So I said to Jimmy, I went, we'll just go to sleep for an hour. So the gaffers got wind, Paul Jewell got wind of it, that we had been to Newcastle. So we've been training forward half an hour to 10 o'clock. Normally we have to be in at 10 o'clock for a 10:30 start. So I set my alarm for like 9:30. Obviously I'm fucking fast asleep. My alarm's going off. The lads are ringing. Where are you? Gaffer's going crazy and that. So we got to the training ground for 10:30. Me and Jimmy's jogging on the pitch. And the gaffer shouting, you two, fuck off. I'll see you after training. And me and Jimmy are like, oh no. Jimmy's like, Chops, what we done? I was like, nah, don't worry. So we got in his office and the gaffer's right, Jimmy, you're suspended for 2 weeks. Chops, you're getting fined 2 weeks. And Jimmy's going, Gaffer, why can't you not fine me 2 weeks? Why are you going to suspend me? And the gaffer went, Jimmy, you love football and this will hurt you because you can't train with the lads. Chops, you love a bet, so I'm taking your money off you so you can't bet. So going back to your question about what you said, do you know what I mean about betting and stuff like that? I think if he was to suspend me, then it would kill me. Do you know what I mean? Because I and stuff like that would hurt Jimmy. Yeah. So these players, Tonali and Toney, football's their life. It's going to affect them mentally. So you're banning them from football, but you're affecting something else. So they need to get help to understand that they can't play in the games and that sort of thing. For me, they should have kept letting them play and just educated them and tried to help them. Educate, understand, and get them help they need.
Yeah.
But you take something away from someone that has been their life since 10.
day in, day
It's
out.
going to kill them.
I'd like
train this team, do you?
no. I'd like to think that they'll.
I know Tonali's allowed to train and play in friendly matches, but Tony's, he's got
completely
Tony
isolated,
completely
isn't
isolated.
Like I'd like
Do you
to
know
think
what I mean?
that they
It's-
get support through
Well-
that time, but like I think it's probably more likely coming from their clubs, like
Yeah.
you said about what Ipswich did for you. Like I'm sure Newcastle are looking after Tonali and Brentford are looking after Tony, but like somebody like the governing bodies, I think should be supporting them as well. But I don't think any of us have got confidence that they are. Let's say. What about your favourite? We said about the favourite playing partner, but with Cardiff, who did you like to have behind you and on the wings? Like, who was your sort of preference in terms of the midfield sat behind you? And
I think I'll talk about the strikers of Cardiff. I've always liked to play with a big man with me. You look at the first season when I came, I had Steve Thompson. He was brilliant.
just worked so hard. Didn't
he took all the knocks from me and everything, and I was there to pick up the pieces and score the goals. And the same with Jay as well, winning so many flick-ons and stuff like that. With midfielders, look, there's no McPhil, like you said. Yeah, the chemistry and the connection I had with Maka was unbelievable, and
Probably one of the most underrated players we've had.
yeah, he would make it. He could make it game tick. He dictated the play. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know he wasn't quick as a player, but you give him the ball, he find the pass and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think, look, you look at Maka, and then obviously when Witts came into the middle, similar passing range as Maka. So you know that you make a run, they're going to find you, and once you've done that, it's the easiest job.
If you had advice for a striker, so I help coach my boys team, and I work quite closely with the strikers. If you had advice for strikers, one of the boys, he gets a bit frustrated sometimes when he makes runs and the pass doesn't come, or it comes like a little bit late or whatnot. Like, what advice would you give to him in those frustrating moments?
I've always get told this. Always keep doing it, because that one time you don't do it, the ball's going to be in that position.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's any manager and any top class strikers always tell me. Keep getting in the positions and keep trying to score a goal, because at the end of the day, the end of the game, you can have a go at that player saying, "Why are you not putting it in that position? I'm there. Do it." But that one time you switch off, he can then say, "Well, I'll put it there. Why are you not there?"
Yeah, interesting. I take that. I find it interesting because even with kids, they're all different personalities, and you gotta manage them differently. Some of them do react to an arm around them and a bit of encouragement, and some of them need a bit of a more stern sort of, "Come on, mate, you're better than that," or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
How difficult is it for a manager to manage a squad full of 20, 25 blokes, all different, all different sets of issues, good, bad, whatever it may be? Like, it's a bit of a minefield, I think, isn't it, when you're trying to work through it all?
Well, I think so, yeah, because look, I'm using example that Cardiff, Dave had to look after me and Jay. Do you know what I mean? We were probably two of the most problems the club's had. Do you know what I mean? And to if you look after us, then you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Did he do the similar things for other players as well, in terms of, like the trips to Newcastle and stuff, but did he find other ways to manage those other players in the squad and get the best out of them?
He definitely got the best out of players, but it was other players didn't. They wanted to come in and train and stuff like that. They wanted to be at the training ground and that sort of thing. So it wasn't a case. Some players are easy to manage. Do you know what I mean? They don't need their arm around them and tell them they're good and that sort of thing. Whereas some players do.
Did you fall out with many players in your career, like teammates?
Nah,
no, really.
Nah.
What about even on the pitch, and then it's
even on the pitch, you have an argument with them and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you forget about it. Things happen in the heat of the moment, and it's forgotten about the next day. You have a chat in the dressing room and stuff like that, and you move on. It's life. Do you know what I mean? there's so much emotion and passion on a football pitch that you want the best and that sort of thing, and it'll lead off into the dressing room and things like that. But you just got to get on with it.
One question I ask quite often to like footballers and ex-footballers is, when you look back on your career, is there players that you look back and you think like, he was a bit of a prick, or like maybe you didn't trust, but just when you look back with hindsight, they rubbed you the wrong way? Because I think with age and with hindsight, sometimes you look back on incidents or things that happened differently to how you looked at them at the time. Like you mentioned with the thing with Bellamy and the phone, obviously at the time you got very frustrated with it, but when you look back on it, you think, you know, he was trying to help you.
Well, I said before that he could have been trying to help me. Well, he was trying to help me. Do you know what I mean? But he didn't understand that I needed to check up and stuff like that. Disliking players and stuff like that. I don't dislike anyone. I do have grudges against people that think they're better than they are and they're big-headed and stuff like that. I was speaking to one of the guys before about Chris Gunner, great player when he was at Cardiff and stuff like that. But whenever I've played against him, I just never got on with him for some strange reason. Whether it's the way he was acting or how he would speak to me at times and stuff like that, we just never seen eye to eye and that sort of thing. And look, Swansea players, Leon Britton, I spoke to Leon Britton 2 years ago. You get on with these players, you know, and the enemy's on your pitch, but you still get on with them and stuff like that. So I don't hold grudges against anyone. I could see Bellas tonight. I speak to him, do you know what I mean? But what's happened in the past. He could have been thinking it's the best thing for the football club and thinking it's the best for me, but I think differently. But I'm not gonna hold it against anyone. Why should you? Do you know what I mean? You move on from that. It's life.
Exactly. So post career, obviously you're doing some work with the Football for Peace, the charity, which obviously would do the raffle and the canvas and stuff. Like how did you come to sort of become an ambassador for them?
I got asked when I was playing to be involved in the charity and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say I wasn't. I would say I was too cocky and I was arrogant to be involved in that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm not afraid to admit it, because when I was playing, I was a prick. Do you know what I mean? I was a dickhead. Do you know what I mean? I thought I was bigger and better than everyone. I've been banned from driving 4 times because I thought I could speed and not get caught by the police and stuff like that. It's just the way I was. And I just thought, when I finished my career and the co-founder of the charity asked me to get involved, I just thought, I haven't done the right things when I was playing, so now is a good time to give back and try and help young kids and underprivileged kids and that sort of thing, and try and help kids become professional players, give them the opportunity that I had, because I had all the support in the world. Some of these young kids don't get that. So if you give them the advice that I know and what should be given, then hopefully one day it'll make up for them. And also you're helping them keep off the streets as well for a few hours, because at the end of the day, the way the world is at the minute, it's quite a bad place at night time and things like that, and especially with gun crime and knife crime, you could help somebody.
Yeah, and I think funny enough, I got 3 teenager boys, and one of the things we've done is we try and keep them busy, so they're not going out and hanging around the streets. Keep them busy with social clubs, sports, football, whatever you could think of, just to keep them doing something which is not around the streets. So we're going to do the raffle in a minute. Has anyone got anything they want to ask before we do the raffle? You, sir.
I spoke to you earlier, Chops, and I said you're probably Cardiff City's last 20 goal of season striker. Something that just popped in my head here, right? We had a 20 goal of season striker in the 90s called Phil Stant. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He wrote a book and he served in the Falklands. apparently he was a bomb disposer in the SAS as well. Hereford United bought him out of the army and Cardiff City signed him and 20 goal season striker. The one thing he was scared of was a manager called Eddie May, because every time he shouted at him, this thing would stick out of his head beard. Is that so this hard man that served in the SAS or served our country, he was scared of a football manager. Is there any football manager you were scared of like that? If he could with ball again, like a proper ball.
I think probably Roy Keane.
Roy Keane?
Yeah. I've been in
What's the worst he done? I don't want to hear the words, but like really had proper goal, did he?
Well, we were getting beat off Northampton 2-1 at half time.
Northampton?
Yeah, I was on the bench, so it wasn't my fault. Yeah, so obviously we won the Premier League at the time. Northampton might have been League One,
Probably.
one of the lower leagues. We were getting beat. We were playing awful, and there was a lot of lads that had been knocking on his door. Why am I not given a chance, sort of thing. And I remember going into the dressing room at half time, and he used to always get the kit man Cookie to put the tactics board up in the corner, and Roy just used to walk towards the showers, and then just used to turn around and just fucking leg it. And just karate kick the tactics board, and then all the little magnets used to go all over. And fucking Cookie used to have to pick them all up. I used to feel sorry for Cookie, so it happened quite regularly. But yeah, and then he got all the players at the starting 11. He fucking bunched them all up in the corner because they're only all dotted about, and he was like bunching them all up, and he was going, "You're a cunt, you're a cunt, you're a cunt, you're a cunt, you're a cunt." And then he said I'm trying to think who it was, might have been Danny Collins, and he went, "And you don't ever fucking ask to play again. You fucking shit. This is why I don't play you." And look, Danny Collins is a great player. Look, he'd done so well for Wales, but he wasn't playing in the team at the time, and he must have been asking to play and stuff like that. But yeah, that's probably Roy's probably the one. Do you know what I mean? And, well, you know when you're getting a bollocking, do you know what I mean? And fair play to Danny because he stood up and he was counted the next day and he didn't let his head drop and stuff like that. He kicked on and started to play regularly in the team. But that's Roy's probably you don't want to fuck about with Roy.
What's your plans in terms of would you like to get back into football and coaching or anything like that? What's your plans for?
Do you know what? I've thought about doing coaching. I've done my C license, and then I was thinking, my reputation in England with the gambling stuff, people don't trust you. Do you know what I mean? Would clubs trust me with younger kids and that sort of thing?
No.
You don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them things. So, look, I'm happy. I'm doing the stuff with the charity and everything. I'm happy doing what I'm doing at the minute.
Come to Wales and you can coach anywhere.
Yeah.
Legend.
See what happens. Do you know what I mean? In the next few years, and I'll take it from
Come
there.
back at Cardiff,
Look,
coach the strikers.
I love the football club. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to do something with the football club, if it's an ambassador role or going into the community and speaking to kids and being around, going to schools and stuff like that. If I ever did move back to the UK, I'd love to do that because, like I've always said, I love coming to Cardiff. It's like my second home.
I think that would be a good thing as well if you could go to high schools and speak to kids about the dangers of gambling, because I do think it gets glossed over. Like you'll have talks in school and stuff about drinking, drugs, cigarettes, sex, but gambling will get glossed over, and gambling can like, destroy your life in 6 months. Like really, if you get addicted and you go down that rabbit hole, and you haven't got people around you to pull you out, it can happen very quickly.
Yeah,
and I think particularly teenagers.
You've spoken about Dave Jones as a man manager. You've spoken about Roy Keane as a hard ass. Michael Chopra as a manager. Who would you be?
I'd probably be like Dave.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got it in me to be like Roy and be as hard. Do you know what I mean? I've never been like that as a player, so I don't think that would be me as a manager.
I think we all be like that, wouldn't we? If we had a couple of rogues in the squad in work, and as long as they were giving everything in work, doesn't matter if you're working in a factory or football.
Exactly.
Or, roofer, carpenter, whatever.
What is it about Cardiff? Because there's so many explainers have said they love the club, they love the place. No, I don't do any other players say about any other clubs. But it's the local Cardiff. What's special for us?
I don't know what it is with the players, but with me, I just think Cardiff fans are like Geordies. They go to work 9 till 5 midweek. They go watch a football team and support the football team. And I think as Cardiff fans, whatever happens midweek will determine what happens on a football pitch at the weekend. If the football team's playing well, work's going to be good during the week. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it. And the support they give me is unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's just because I scored a lot of goals. If I'd done shit, I wouldn't have got the support. But no, look, I got on so well with them. Do you know what I mean? You know that by how many times I came back to the club. I didn't have to come back. I could have went elsewhere, but I'll always come back to Cardiff because I had the really good, strong connection with the fans.
I can remember you warming up for Ipswich as a substitute in front of the Grange end. And the fans were singing a song to you.
He
better or
I was laughing.
He better or and you were loving it. You were clapping them. And
That's how fond
you are with it, man.
I think, was it 2-2 that game, or did we win? I think I scored that game.
I can't remember the score.
I think I scored that game. I remember that because
everyone comes back and votes us.
Yeah, every
do you know what?
I
remember that game because I was actually in Sport and Trans Clinic getting treatment for the gambling addiction, and I came out there to play a game. So Monday to Friday I was in there. Saturday I come out and play on the weekend and then go back in. And I remember driving from Plymouth to Cardiff on the Saturday morning to play in that game. Yeah.
So you were in Sporting Trans, and you weren't training and then playing on the Saturday?
No, I wasn't training. I was just playing at the weekend.
It's mad. That is really. It goes back to natural ability, mate. Yeah. I know I don't want to repeat the point, but like for a professional footballer to be able to not train all week and be getting treatment and stuff, to have the mental strength and the natural ability to then still perform at a level that is not just all right, he's a good footballer, but like to keep scoring, I think it's commendable and quite mental, to be honest.
No, it's like, look, I've always said to you, I remember I used to have a joke with Alex Armstrong, the fitness coach. I used to pretend that I had a switch on my leg. And he used to tap my leg, switch it on, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Just before I used to go on the pitch. It was just a laughing a joke we had. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. But yeah, it's all about in the head, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. One question I did have is when you look back on your career, I wanted to know which opponent would talk the most during a game, like whether to try and distract you or like just constantly chattering.
You wouldn't. It's hard to say. It's hard to say which opponent, but you get some defenders that are annoying. They'll try and put you off. They'll nip the back of your arm. Do you know what I mean?
Just like pinching.
When you're just standing there like that, they'll pinch it, and obviously it's just a natural instinct just to do that. People like that, but obviously you get close to some centre backs and you'll have a chat during the game and stuff like that. But it's hard to really put it.
I'd find it difficult if I was a striker, like not to be like if you put it through their legs or you score, and just be like, see you later. I just would find it difficult, but maybe that's just me. No, I appreciate all of you for coming. Appreciate you all for taking part and getting involved. We will be, there's more City Legends events coming soon, but I want to focus tonight on Mr. Michael Chopra. Thank you very much for coming. Michael Chopra.